Before we begin, you don't need to focus perfectly or listen to every word. This video is meant to stay with you, whether you're resting, drifting, or letting it play quietly in the background. You can step away and come back at any time. Nothing here requires effort from you. If you find yourself settling in, that's enough. When you're ready, we'll continue. As this moment begins, you do not need to arrive calm. You do not need to arrive focused. You do not need to arrive ready. You are welcome here exactly as you are. Whatever the day has placed on your shoulders, you are allowed to set it down. Whatever thoughts have followed you into this moment, you do not have to push them away. Just let yourself pause. There is a quiet strength in pausing. Not because everything is suddenly resolved, but because God meets us, even when things are unfinished. Right now, you are not late, you are not behind, you are not failing, you are present. Take a slow breath in. Let it fill your lungs gently, and then release it without forcing anything. Another breath, easy, unrushed. The pace of God is not the pace of the world. The world pulls you forward constantly, asking for answers, decisions, movement, proof. God invites you to remain in His presence, to remain in trust, to remain in the truth that you are not carrying life alone. Scripture reminds us, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." A shepherd does not drive the sheep forward with urgency. A shepherd walks with them. If your heart feels tired, if your thoughts feel scattered, if your spirit feels worn thin, this is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign that you are human, and God is gentle with human hearts. There are seasons when faith feels steady and strong, and there are seasons when faith feels quiet and small. Both are held by the same faithful God. You do not need to perform strength in this moment. You do not need to hide uncertainty. You do not need to rush toward resolution. God is not asking you to fix everything tonight. He is asking you to rest with Him. Rest is not quitting. Rest is trust. Trust that God is working even when you are still. Trust that His presence does not depend on your effort. Trust that you are allowed to pause without falling behind. If worries begin to surface, do not wrestle with them. Simply notice them and place them gently into God's care. He is strong enough to hold what you cannot. Scripture tells us to cast our cares upon Him because He cares for us. Not because we are weak, but because we were never meant to carry everything alone. You may be holding questions that have not been answered yet. You may be waiting for clarity that feels delayed. You may be walking through a season that does not make sense. God is not confused by your questions. He is not distant from your waiting. He is not frustrated by your pace. He is patient, and patience is one of the ways God shows His love. Allow your breathing to slow again. Let your body settle into this moment. Nothing is required of you right now. The same God who formed the stars is attentive to the quiet movements of your heart. The same God who spoke light into darkness is present in the places where you feel unsure. You are not unseen. You are not unheard. You are not forgotten. Even when nothing seems to be changing on the outside, God is still working within. Faith does not always announce itself loudly. Often it whispers. It whispers through endurance, through quiet trust, through staying when it would be easier to run. You are allowed to stay. Stay in prayer. Stay in trust. Stay in the presence of God. Let this moment be enough. As you remain here, allow yourself to notice what it feels like to not rush. There is a difference between waiting and resting. Waiting can feel tense. Resting feels supported. God is not asking you to wait anxiously. He is inviting you to rest confidently. Resting says, "I trust you with what I cannot control." Resting says, I believe you are working even when I am still. There are things unfolding in your life that do not require your constant attention. There are answers forming that do not need to be forced. There are paths being prepared that you do not need to rush ahead to find. God is steady. The pressure you feel to figure everything out all at once does not come from Him. God moves with intention, not panic, with clarity, not confusion, with love, not pressure. If your thoughts begin to drift again, that is okay. Gently bring them back, not with frustration, not with judgment, just with awareness. God does not withdraw when your mind wanders. He remains. Sometimes the most faithful thing you can do is return again and again. Return to breathing. Return to presence. Return to trust. You are not failing when you return. You are practicing faith. Faith is not perfection. Faith is persistence. And persistence does not have to be loud. It can be quiet. It can be gentle. It can be steady. God honors the quiet persistence of a willing heart. If you feel worn down by responsibility, remember that God does not measure you by how much you carry. He invites you to lay things down. Lay down expectations that are too heavy. Lay down comparisons that steal your peace. Lay down the belief that you must always be strong. Strength in God's kingdom often looks like surrender. Surrender is not giving up. It is giving over what you cannot fix, giving over what you cannot predict, giving over what you were never meant to manage alone. God receives surrendered hearts with gentleness. He does not rush you through the process. He does not shame you for needing rest. He does not diminish you for slowing down. He meets you here. The same God who carried Israel through the wilderness knows how to guide you through uncertainty. The same God who calmed the storm knows how to bring peace to what feels chaotic inside. You are not too much for Him. Your concerns are not too small for Him. Your questions are not too complicated for Him. God is attentive. Let that truth settle. You are not managing life by yourself. You are not responsible for holding everything together. You are not abandoned in the middle of your journey. God is present. Even now, as you breathe, allow gratitude to quietly rise. Not for answers, not for outcomes, but for presence. Presence is enough. God with you is enough. And you are allowed to remain here as long as you need. Nothing is pulling you away. Nothing is demanding immediate action. This moment is safe. This moment is held. This moment is held. This moment is yours to rest in. There is a quiet reassurance in knowing that you do not have to rush forward to be held by God. He is not ahead of you waiting impatiently. He is not behind you urging you to catch up. He is with you in this moment, right here. God's presence does not depend on your pace. It does not increase when you hurry. It does not disappear when you slow down. It remains steady. If you have been carrying the weight of expectations, expectations from others, expectations from yourself, expectations that feel heavy and unrelenting, you are allowed to set them down. Not forever, just for now. God understands what you need even before you ask. He understands the exhaustion that words cannot describe. He understands the weariness that comes from trying to stay strong for too long. You do not need to explain it to Him. You only need to rest in His presence. There is nothing fragile about this moment, nothing wasted, nothing weak. This is restoration happening quietly, the kind that does not announce itself but leaves you steadier than before. Remain here. Let your breathing stay slow. Let your thoughts soften. Let your body rest into the truth that you are cared for. God is near, and that is enough. As time continues to pass in this quiet space, you may begin to notice a gentle shift inside you, Not a dramatic change, not a sudden clarity, just a soft settling. This is often how God works, not through force, not through pressure, but through presence. There are moments when we expect peace to arrive like an answer, clear and unmistakable, but more often, peace arrives like a companion, walking beside us quietly. If you are listening and still feel restless, that does not mean this moment is failing. Restlessness is not resistance. It is simply part of being human. God does not withdraw when you feel unsettled. He stays. Sometimes faith looks like confidence. Other times faith looks like remaining even when you are unsure. Both are real faith. Scripture reminds us that God's strength is made perfect in weakness. That means you do not have to hide what feels fragile. You do not have to cover what feels incomplete. God works with honesty, not performance. If you have been holding yourself to impossible standards, this is your permission to loosen them. You were never meant to carry the weight of perfection. God does not ask you to be flawless. He asks you to be willing. Willing to trust. Willing to rest. Willing to return again and again. There is grace in returning. Each time you return to God, you are not starting over. You are continuing. Continuing a relationship that does not break when you struggle. Continuing a faith that is sustained by God's faithfulness, not yours. Let that truth settle into your heart. Your faith does not disappear when you feel tired. Your faith does not vanish when questions arise. Your faith is not erased by uncertainty. God holds it for you when you cannot hold it yourself. If you are carrying worry about something specific, a conversation, a decision, an outcome you cannot control, acknowledge it gently. You do not need to solve it here. Simply recognize it and place it into God's care. God is attentive to details. Nothing you bring to Him is too small or insignificant. The same God who counts the stars is present with the quiet concerns of your heart. There is comfort in knowing that God sees what others do not. He sees the effort behind your actions. He sees the intentions behind your choices. He sees the quiet battles no one else notices. You are known more deeply than you realize. If you've been feeling unseen or overlooked, know that God's attention has never drifted from you. His presence is not divided. His care is not limited. He is fully here. Take another slow breath. Let it remind you that life is still flowing, that grace is still present, that God is still working. There is no rush in this moment. You are not being timed. You are not being evaluated. You are simply being held. God's love does not fluctuate with your performance. It remains steady. The same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. If you find yourself growing quieter inside, let that quiet remain. If you feel emotion rise, do not push it away. God meets you in honesty, not in suppression. Tears, if they come, are not a disruption. They are a language God understands. Silence, if it comes, is not empty. It is often full of presence. You do not need to fill it. Just stay. Stay with the awareness that God is near. Stay with the truth that you are not alone. Stay with the assurance that this moment matters. Nothing about this time is wasted. God is using even this quiet to strengthen what is fragile, to steady what feels shaken, to restore what feels worn. Remain here. There is no pressure to move forward yet. God is with you in this moment, and that is enough. As you remain in this quiet space, you may notice that time feels different here. Moments are not being measured by productivity or progress. They are simply being experienced. This is one of the gifts God offers us when we rest in His presence. Time slows, and in that slowing, clarity often begins to form. Not loudly, but gently. God does not rush understanding. He allows it to unfold. If there are things in your life that feel unresolved, decisions that still feel unclear, paths that seem uncertain, know that God is not intimidated by unfinished stories. He works within them. You are not required to have every answer before you can be at peace. You are not required to know the outcome before you can trust. Trust grows quietly, often in moments just like this one. Scripture tells us that God's mercies are new every morning. That means each moment holds the possibility of renewal. Even now, even here, even if you feel tired, if discouragement has been whispering to you lately, telling you that you are falling behind, that you are not doing enough, that you should be further along, those whispers are not the voice of God. God's voice brings reassurance, not accusation. It brings peace, not pressure. He does not shame you for resting. He does not criticize you for slowing down. He invites you closer. God is not waiting for you to improve before He draws near. He meets you exactly where you are. Let that truth sink in. You do not need to earn this moment. You are already welcome. If your heart feels heavy with responsibility, remember that God does not expect you to carry everything alone. He asks you to walk with Him, not to manage life by yourself. Walking with God means sometimes stopping together, sometimes waiting, sometimes resting. And none of those are failures. They are part of the journey. Allow your breathing to remain slow and natural. There is no need to control it. Each breath is a reminder that life continues gently without your effort. God sustains you even when you are still. If fear arises about what lies ahead, bring it into this space. God is already present in what you fear. He is already at work there. Fear does not disqualify you from faith. It simply shows you where trust is still growing. And growth does not need to be rushed. God is patient with growing hearts. If peace feels distant right now, do not chase it. Peace is not something you grasp. It is something you receive, often slowly, often quietly. Just like this moment, remain here. Let the awareness of God's nearness stay with you. Nothing needs to change immediately. Nothing needs to be solved tonight. This moment is doing its work, and God is with you in it. There is a quiet confidence that begins to form when you stop fighting the moment you are in. Not because everything suddenly makes sense, but because you are no longer resisting where you are. God does not ask you to understand every step before you take it. He asks you to trust that He is present with you as you move, and sometimes as you rest. If you have felt pressure to keep going without pause, to remain strong without rest, to carry on without relief, this moment stands as permission to release that pressure. Not permanently, just for now. God is not measuring your progress by speed. He is attentive to your heart. The quiet faith that remains when effort fades is often the faith that carries you the farthest. Allow yourself to stay here. Let your breathing continue slowly, without expectation, without urgency. Nothing is being demanded of you. This moment is not empty. It is filled with God's presence, and that presence is steady. Remain here. There is no need to rush away from this quiet. Let it finish its work. God remains with you, steady and near, carrying what you cannot, holding what you release. Stay here just a little longer. There are moments when clarity does not arrive as an answer, but as a quiet steadiness. You may not suddenly know what to do next. You may not feel certainty settle in, and yet something inside you feels less frantic. That steadiness is not accidental. It is the presence of God anchoring you. God often works beneath the surface, long before anything changes outwardly. Roots grow where eyes cannot see. If you have been waiting for visible progress, it may help to remember that growth is not always loud. Some of the deepest growth happens in silence. God is shaping your heart even when circumstances remain the same. If you have felt discouraged by slow movement, by unanswered prayers, by delays that feel unfair, know that delay is not denial, and silence is not absence. God is not withholding goodness from you. He is preparing you to receive it without being overwhelmed. Trust grows slowly because it needs to last. If you have been tempted to rush God, to demand resolution, to force outcomes, this moment invites you to loosen that grip. God is not moved by panic. He is not pressured by urgency. He works with intention. The same God who formed the earth in perfect order knows how to order your life with care. You are not forgotten in the waiting. Waiting is not empty time. It is time filled with unseen work. Let your breathing remain slow and natural. You do not need to hurry through this part of your journey. You are allowed to move at a human pace. God is patient with slow hearts, with healing that takes time, with faith that grows gradually. If your trust feels fragile, that does not disqualify you. It simply means trust is still forming. God does not abandon what is forming. He protects it. Remain here. Let the truth that God is with you continue to settle deeper. Nothing is being lost in this moment. As this quiet continues, it may become clear that some of the tension you carried was never meant to stay with you. Not every burden belongs in your hands. Not every outcome depends on your effort. God does not expect you to manage the weight of the future alone. The future is not fragile in His care. If you've been replaying conversations in your mind, imagining different outcomes, wondering what you should have said or done, this moment invites you to release that cycle. The past does not have the power to define what God is still shaping. God redeems what feels unfinished. He restores what feels misaligned. He brings purpose even from places of uncertainty. Nothing in your story is wasted. Not the delays, not the detours, not the quiet seasons where progress felt invisible. God works patiently, often invisibly, long before change becomes apparent. If you have been tempted to measure your faith by results, by answered prayers, by visible movement, remember that faith is not a transaction. It is a relationship. Relationships deepen over time, not through pressure. God is not withholding Himself from you. He is present even in waiting. If your heart feels tired of waiting, God understands. Waiting stretches trust. It exposes vulnerability. It reveals how deeply we long for reassurance. God does not shame you for that longing. He meets it with compassion. Let your breathing remain slow. Nothing needs to be rushed forward. God is not late. He is deliberate. The same God who orchestrates seasons knows when it is time for growth, when it is time for rest, and when it is time for movement. You do not need to force a season to change. Trust grows when you allow God to lead. If fear whispers that you are missing opportunities, that time is slipping away, that others are moving ahead, know that comparison distorts perspective. God's path for you is not behind schedule. It is designed with intention. You are not late to your life. You are exactly where God is working. Allow that truth to quiet the noise. Let go of the pressure to measure yourself. God does not rush His workmanship. You are His workmanship, and He is not finished. Remain here. Let the steadiness you feel continue to deepen. God is with you, not watching from a distance, not waiting for improvement, but present and attentive. As this moment continues, it may become easier to recognize how much strength you have carried quietly, strength that was never loud, strength that did not seek attention, strength that simply endured. God sees that strength. even when others did not notice, even when you doubted it yourself. There are seasons when survival itself is an act of faith, when showing up is enough, when continuing is courage. God honors those seasons. If you have felt unseen in your effort, know that nothing offered in faith is overlooked. God gathers what feels small. He remembers what feels forgotten. He redeems what feels unfinished. You do not need to replay your life searching for mistakes. You do not need to relive moments wishing they were different. God is not anchored to your past. He is actively shaping your future, and He does so with care. If your heart feels guarded, if trust feels cautious, if hope feels tentative, that does not push God away. It draws Him nearer. God does not demand instant confidence. He nurtures trust patiently. Like a seed beneath the soil, faith grows unseen before it ever breaks the surface. Nothing is wasted in the waiting. If you feel tired of carrying expectations, expectations placed on you by others, expectations placed on you by yourself, you are allowed to release them here, not because responsibility disappears, but because rest restores perspective. God restores perspective. He reminds you that you are not alone in your responsibility. You were never meant to be. God walks with you, not behind you urging speed, not ahead of you demanding results, but beside you, steady and present. If you listen closely, you may notice how the tension in your body begins to soften. This is not coincidence. This is what happens when the soul recognizes safety. God's presence creates safety. You do not have to remain guarded here. You do not have to brace yourself for disappointment. This moment is gentle. Allow yourself to stay. Allow yourself to breathe. Allow yourself to trust that what is being formed in you is not fragile. God does not begin work. He cannot complete. You are not an unfinished project. You are a living testimony in progress. And God is faithful to finish what He begins. Remain here. Let that truth settle deeper. There is strength in accepting that you do not need to resolve everything tonight. Some things heal best when they are allowed time. Some answers arrive only after rest has done its work. God is not asking you to force clarity. He is inviting you to trust that clarity will come when it is needed. You are not missing anything by pausing here. This quiet is not a delay. It is preparation. Let your breathing remain slow and natural. Let your body recognize that it is safe to rest. God's presence is not fragile. It does not fade when you stop striving. He remains steady, and that steadiness is carrying you, even now. Stay here just a little longer. There is no pressure to move ahead yet. Let this stillness complete what it began. God is not distant from you in this quiet. He is present, steady, and attentive. You are safe to rest here. As this quiet continues, you may notice that your thoughts are no longer pushing as hard as they were before. They may still be present, but they do not feel as demanding. This is not because everything has been resolved, but because your spirit has stopped fighting for control. There is peace in releasing the need to manage every outcome. God does not ask you to carry tomorrow while you are still standing in today. He meets you where you are, not where you think you should be. If you have been judging yourself for needing rest, let that judgment soften. Rest is not weakness, it is wisdom. Even Jesus withdrew to quiet places when the weight of the world pressed in. If rest was necessary for Him, it is not a failure for you. God designed your soul to need moments of stillness, not constant motion. If you have felt stretched thin by expectations, by responsibility, or by the pressure to always move forward, this moment is a reminder that you are allowed to pause without falling behind. God is not disappointed in you for slowing down. He is present with you in it. When life feels heavy, it does not mean you are off track. Often it means you are carrying something that matters. God does not rush the hearts that carry deeply. He strengthens them gently. If you are waiting for something right now, waiting for clarity, waiting for relief, waiting for change, know that waiting does not mean nothing is happening. God often works most deeply in seasons where progress is not visible. Roots grow in the dark long before anything breaks the surface. You are not stagnant. You are being prepared. Preparation does not always feel productive, but it is purposeful. God knows what you will need next, and He is shaping you accordingly. If fear arises about the future, about whether things will work out, about whether you are doing enough, bring that fear into this moment. Fear does not scare God away. He does not recoil from your uncertainty. He meets it with steadiness. God is not fragile. He is not overwhelmed by what overwhelms you. He is strong enough to hold your fears without being shaken. You do not need to suppress what you feel. You only need to remain open. Openness is where God does His best work. If peace feels partial, let it be partial. You do not need complete peace to rest. Even a small measure of calm is enough for God to begin restoring what feels worn. Allow your breathing to remain slow and unforced. You are not being rushed through this moment. Nothing is demanding immediate action. You are safe to remain here. God is near, attentive, and patient. He is not counting how long it takes you to heal. He is not measuring your progress against anyone else. He is walking with you at the pace your heart can sustain. Stay here. Let the quiet continue to do its work. God is with you, and that is enough. There are moments when strength does not come from pushing forward, but from allowing yourself to stop resisting where you are. God does not measure your faith by how much you can endure without rest. He measures it by your willingness to trust Him when you cannot see what comes next. If you have been carrying the weight of responsibility for too long, responsibility that feels heavier than it should, know that God never intended for you to carry life alone. Partnership with God was always part of the design. You were never meant to manage the future by yourself. God stands in tomorrow already, steady and unshaken. If uncertainty has been draining your energy, let this be the moment you stop trying to predict every outcome. Prediction is exhausting. Trust is lighter. Trust allows you to breathe again. Trust allows your heart to rest without needing answers first. God does not rush you towards certainty. He invites you into relationship. Relationship grows through time spent together, not through solutions. If your prayers have felt repetitive or quiet, that does not mean they are ineffective. Quiet prayers are still heard. Repeated prayers are still honored. God listens without irritation, without impatience, without frustration. He is not tired of you bringing the same concern again. He understands the human heart returns to what feels unresolved. God meets you there every time. If you have been trying to hold yourself together for others, let this be a moment where you release that pressure. You are allowed to be supported too. You are allowed to receive strength instead of always providing it. God does not ask you to be the source of stability for everyone else. He asks you to lean on Him first. Leaning does not make you weak. It makes you honest. And honesty is where healing begins. If you feel emotion rising as you rest, do not suppress it. Emotion is not a disruption, it is information. God understands it fully. He is not afraid of your feelings, and He is not threatened by your vulnerability. Vulnerability is often where God works most gently and most deeply. If peace feels incomplete, allow it to be incomplete. Partial peace is still peace. Small relief is still relief. God does not require everything to be fixed before restoration begins. He works gradually, patiently, and intentionally. Let your breathing remain slow and natural. Let your body stay relaxed. Nothing is being demanded of you right now. You are not being evaluated. You are not being measured. You are simply being held. God is near, steady, and attentive. He has not lost sight of you. He has not forgotten your prayers. He has not overlooked your efforts. He is present with you now, just as He has always been. Remain here. Let the quiet continue to settle. God is working even here, even now. God is not asking you to understand everything that has happened or everything that is coming next. He is asking you to trust that His presence is steady even when your understanding feels incomplete. Trust does not require certainty. It requires willingness. Willingness to stay, willingness to rest, willingness to stop running ahead of the moment you are in. If you have felt pressure to always be prepared for what comes next, let that pressure ease. God is already present in what comes next. You are not responsible for holding the future together. You are responsible only for remaining open to God's guidance as it unfolds. Guidance does not always arrive as direction. Sometimes it arrives as peace. Sometimes it arrives as endurance. Sometimes it arrives as the quiet ability to keep going without falling apart. Those moments matter. If your strength feels limited, that does not mean God's strength is. He works best where our limits are clear. Limits create space for grace. Grace fills what effort cannot. You do not need to rush through this season to prove anything. God is not measuring your worth by momentum. He is shaping your heart with care. Allow that care to reach places that have felt tense or guarded. Let your breathing remain slow. Let your body remain at ease. Nothing is required of you right now except presence. God is near, steady, and faithful. He has not left you in the middle of your process. He is walking with you through it, patiently and gently, every step of the way. As this time comes toward its close, you do not need to rush back into everything all at once. What you've allowed yourself here does not disappear when the audio ends. The quiet you've settled into can travel with you. God's presence does not turn off when the moment changes. He remains steady as you move forward. If you are returning to responsibilities, return gently. You are not required to carry everything immediately. Carry what is needed for now and leave the rest with God. He is capable. He is attentive. He is near. You do not need to have clarity about every step ahead. Trust grows one step at a time. If your strength feels limited, remember that God's strength is not. He works best where our limits are clear. You are not behind. You are not late. You are not forgotten. God is still shaping what concerns you, still guiding what feels uncertain, still caring for what feels heavy. Let gratitude settle quietly, not for outcomes or answers, but for presence. God with you is enough. As you move on from this moment, know that you are not moving alone. God walks with you patiently and faithfully into whatever comes next. As this time comes to a close, there's nothing you need to gather or carry away with urgency. What is settled in you does not disappear when the sound ends. The calm you've allowed yourself to experience can remain with you as you move forward. God's presence is not limited to quiet moments or paused time. He walks with you into whatever comes next. If you are returning to responsibilities, return gently. You are not required to carry everything at once. Carry what is needed for now, and leave the rest with God. He is capable of holding what you release. You do not need to have clarity about every step ahead. Trust grows one step at a time. If your strength feels limited, remember that God's strength is not. He works best where our limits are clear. You are not behind. You are not late. You are not forgotten. God is still shaping what concerns you, still guiding what feels uncertain, still caring for what feels heavy. Let gratitude settle quietly, not for outcomes or answers, but for presence. God with you is enough. As you move on from this moment, know that you are not moving alone. God walks with you patiently and faithfully into whatever comes next. As you remain here a little longer, allow yourself to notice that nothing is being taken from you by resting. You are not losing momentum. You are not falling behind. You are not neglecting anything important. Rest does not erase responsibility. It restores your strength to meet it. God understands the rhythm of the human heart better than anyone. He knows when effort has stretched you thin and when your spirit needs quiet more than instruction. If you have been carrying concern about what tomorrow will ask of you, let that concern loosen its grip. Tomorrow will come with its own grace. You are not required to prepare for it tonight. God is already present in what you will face next. He is not surprised by it, and He is not waiting for you to be more ready than you are. Readiness often comes through rest, not striving. If you feel the urge to get up, to move on, to return quickly to everything waiting for you, pause just a moment longer. Let this stillness finish settling. God does not rush endings. He allows things to close gently. What you have allowed yourself to receive here can continue working quietly within you even as you move forward. Peace does not always announce itself. Often it follows you softly. If doubts return later, that does not undo what has happened here. If worries rise again, that does not mean this time was wasted. Growth is not linear. Healing is not instant. God works through repetition, patience, and continued presence. He does not withdraw when you struggle again. He meets you again, every time. If gratitude comes, let it come naturally. If it does not, that is okay too. Gratitude is not a requirement. Presence is enough. God with you is enough. As you prepare to leave this space, know that you do not leave God behind. He remains with you in every step, every task, every quiet moment, and every uncertain one. You are not walking alone. You never have been. God walks with you steady and faithful, carrying what is too heavy, guiding what feels unclear, and holding you with care as you continue forward. As you stay here a little longer, allow yourself to notice that nothing is being taken from you by resting in this way. You are not losing momentum. You are not neglecting what matters, and you are not falling behind. Rest does not remove responsibility. It restores the strength needed to carry it well. God understands the rhythm of the human heart. He knows when effort has stretched you thin and when your spirit needs quiet more than instruction. If you have been carrying concern about what tomorrow will ask of you, let that concern loosen its grip. Tomorrow will come with its own grace. You are not required to prepare for everything right now. God is already present in what lies ahead, steady and unshaken. He is not surprised by what you will face, and He is not waiting for you to be stronger than you are. Strength often grows through rest, not striving. If you feel the urge to move on quickly, to get back to everything waiting for you, pause just a moment longer. God does not rush endings. He allows moments like this to close gently. What you have allowed yourself to receive here does not disappear when you stand up or return to your day. It continues working quietly beneath the surface. Peace often follows softly rather than announcing itself loudly. If doubts return later, that does not undo what has happened here. If worry rises again, that does not mean this time was wasted. Growth is not linear. Healing does not happen all at once. God works through patience, repetition, and continued presence. He does not withdraw when you struggle again. He meets you again every time. If gratitude comes naturally, let it come. If it does not, that is okay too. Gratitude is not required. Presence is enough. God with you is enough. As you prepare to move forward, know that you are not leaving God behind. He goes with you into every task, every quiet moment, every responsibility, and every uncertainty. You are not walking alone. You never have been. God walks with you patiently and faithfully, carrying what is too heavy, guiding what feels unclear, and holding you with care as you continue forward. As you remain here a little longer, allow yourself to fully release the idea that rest must be earned. You do not have to exhaust yourself to deserve peace. You do not have to reach a certain point before God meets you. He meets you where you are, as you are, without conditions. If you have been carrying the feeling that you should be doing more, achieving more, or becoming more before you are allowed to slow down, let that belief soften. God is not waiting for you to improve before He draws near. He is present now, steady and attentive. If your thoughts begin to turn toward everything waiting for you after this moment, notice them gently without following them. There will be time for action later. For now, nothing is asking you to move. Nothing is demanding your energy. God does not rush transitions. He allows space for endings to settle before new beginnings unfold. What you have received here does not vanish when the sound fades. Calm has a way of lingering quietly, returning when you least expect it. Even if the noise of life rises again, the grounding you've allowed yourself to feel can still be found underneath it. Peace does not need to be loud to be real. Sometimes it works silently, reshaping how you respond rather than removing what challenges you. If tomorrow feels uncertain, remember that uncertainty does not mean instability. God is already present in what you will face next. He is not surprised by it. He is not unprepared. You do not have to rehearse every possibility to be safe. Safety does not come from control. It comes from trust. Trust does not mean you will never feel anxious again. It means anxiety no longer has the final word. God remains larger than your questions, stronger than your fears, and steadier than anything that feels unsettled inside you. When strength feels limited, His is not. When clarity feels distant, His guidance remains close. As you move forward from this moment, move gently. Carry only what is needed for now. Leave the rest in God's care. He is capable of holding what you release. You are not behind. You are not late. You are not forgotten. God continues to walk with you patiently, faithfully, and with deep care into whatever comes next.